Hey, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. No, it's not Monday. It's Tuesday. It's our first day of the morning show, and it feels like a Monday to me for that reason. But of course, yesterday was Monday. Anyway, we're back. Spring has sprung. It's rainy here today, so that's kind of a bummer. But otherwise feels springy and warm and good, and things are happy. Kids are winding down school years, so it's starting to just be the good vibes season, and I like that. Been cooking a little extra food, drinking a little bit of extra wine here and there. Not always, but sometimes. Anyway, Doug, how are you doing? You getting those vibes? I know you did your own fun spring activity this weekend.
Oh yeah, Matt. I am. I was sick for almost 2 weeks, week and a half, full over almost 2 weeks, and I went on basically a 48-hour plant-based meat bender. I'm a plant-based carnivore for 48 hours, and suddenly I'm feeling great. I am back, baby. I am feeling so good.
Okay. We thought it might have been the plant-based meat that got you sick. So maybe it was a little hair of the
Yeah,
dog
that's right.
situation.
Maybe it was just like I was detoxing and I had to get a little bit more back in the system to hair of the
Right.
dog type thing with the plant-based meat.
Okay. As a reminder, I think for those who don't keep up with the show, you ate 3 Beyond sausages, and that was a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, and I think that was the beginning of you getting
That's
really
right.
sick.
It was. I did that on a Saturday and I woke up Sunday sick and was sick again sick every day for the next 10 days, 10, 12 days maybe. But
Okay.
we went camping this weekend,
Yep.
and
Good.
that was wonderful. Went out to the North Georgia mountains with. We were supposed to be my sister and her family, but it ended up just being my family and my mom, and
Oh, okay.
because they got sick. And it was great. It was like just so nice to be back in the woods and for a long weekend. And I, this time of year is just perfect. But we cooked. We did. I had breakfast sausages, Gardein breakfast sausages every day, and
Hmm.
some uh, Boca burgers and some hot dogs and all kinds of stuff. And it was very good, very delicious. Embrace the whole cooking over the fire thing, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Okay.
perfect.
Boca burgers, that's my speed. Did you get that tip from me that the Boca burger is actually underrated and better than
Yeah, actually, I think we talked about it a while ago
yeah,
because they're so much cheaper.
they
they're
are much cheaper for sure.
they're so much cheaper and healthier too. I mean, there's a cleaner ingredient list, right?
I
I
think a
don't know
little
about
bit.
healthier, but simpler.
Arguable, but yeah, I think it's possible. Good. All right. And did you get sick of the vegan meats by the end of it? Because if I have those things like even 2 days in a row now, I'm getting sick of them. It's just that I've turned a corner, at least for now.
Mhm.
Did you feel like you just had enough and you don't want it again for a
I
while?
mean, yeah, I definitely scratched an itch, and
Mhm.
and I'm in no hurry to have any more. Yeah, I
Right.
would say that's true. I mean, we
Okay.
did like to be fair, it was not a plant-based carnivore diet. I had lots of a big salad and lots of vegetables. We grilled a lot of vegetables and um,
Yeah.
hummus wraps and stuff like that for lunch. So it was relatively healthy eating aside from some plant-based meat and for breakfast and dinner.
Yes. Right. Good. Glad to hear that. All right, good. Well, speaking of carnivore, we're going to get into later an article about Paul Saladino. Used to be Carnivore MD, and then he got rid of that name. Did he get rid of that when? Like, did that coincide with when he decided he was moving away from this carnivore diet a little bit and going to start
Yeah,
eating
I
some
think so.
plants?
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know if that was known at the time that was why, but maybe it was, and we just are only hearing about it now. But anyway, he there's an article now. He was on a podcast and he sort of admitted that the diet had made him less healthy. He thought so. That'll be interesting to get into. Um, yeah, before we do that, like any other camping stuff, was there anything besides the vegan meat that was like a standout moment of the camping, or was it really just all about the vegan meat?
You know what we do? This is my favorite part, my favorite food item with camping. And I've done this my entire life. This is not a vegan thing, although now we have the vegan version. But that's we take biscuits, like a can of biscuit that you pop open.
Hmm. Yeah, haven't had
Take
those in
biscuits,
forever, but they are good.
wrap them around a stick, and roast them in the fire. Cook them up,
Wait,
and
you
they
wrap the
turn
whole
into.
can unopened around the stick, or you pop them
No, you,
out?
you take like one biscuit out and you wrap it
Okay,
around. And you twist it around so it's like nice and tight, and then you roast it
okay,
on over the fire, and it turns
uh-huh.
into this long, like cylinder, like biscuit kind of thing that's gooey on the inside. You can stuff some
Ah,
jelly down in there. So delicious. I mean, it is. It's we call it a doughboy. I think some people. I think there's a German version that has a different name. Um,
okay.
But I mean, they're just so good. They're just like it's one of my favorite things about camping, and we made a bunch of those. They were very good.
I haven't considered those canned biscuits in like ages. Are they easy to get vegan, or maybe are they just one of
Yeah, I
those
think
accidental vegan
Annie's
things?
or Annie's has one that
Ah,
you can get at Ingles that's vegan. Yeah.
okay, good. I mean, can you make that at home like in a normal thing, or is the fire special for it? Like, what if you just made those biscuits? Would they still be good?
I mean, you could still make those biscuits. We do that every once in a while. They're okay, but this it's a little different, like because it's not you don't have like the flaky layers. It's just kind of this when you wrap it around the stick, and of course you get
Hmm.
the fire
Right,
char to it. So it's not as good. I mean, I don't crave the. I wouldn't be speaking very highly if we had just put biscuits in the oven.
right.
But when you put
Gotcha.
them on a stick,
All right.
they're
Yeah,
legit.
everything's better on a stick. Kate says Wang Doodles. Is that maybe the name of that thing you're doing?
Wing doodles. Maybe that's what they call it. Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Jeffrey says a lot of Pillsbury Doughboy are vegan too.
Hmm.
He must just mean Pillsbury products, right? Not the Doughboy himself. Kate puts cheese in hers, not jelly. So she does more of a savory variety.
Okay.
You did the sweet. All right, good. Well, let's see who else is here. Britters is here. Jessica Goodenough, Mr. Jeffrey, Taborlin P99, Garuda Legends, Kate, as we already talked to, Aaron Jenkins. Britters says that's her favorite kind of bender because Britters is a non-drinker, so she would like the vegan meat bender. Did you have any alcohol, Doug? I'm sure you didn't do a bender with your family there, but did you drink any beers or anything?
I did, yeah. I mean, it's so funny now. Like thinking about camping 10 years ago versus now. I probably
Yes.
had
Very.
I probably had 3 beers all weekend, and I ended both evenings with a little bit of bourbon, but you know, just very minimal. A little bit of
Not like
alcohol, but not much.
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, good. That's how to do it.
Hmm.
All right, and then I forgot to say more. Kelly K, Allie, D1 to know, Adventure Coach Dale Stevens, Phyllis Hauser, all the regulars here. It's good to see everybody.
Matt, I gotta ask. You're big into the crypto trading. Are you also in the meme stocks? Are you doing the GameStop and
No,
what is
I'm
it?
not into
AMC?
this. I don't know how to trade stocks. Crypto's so easy. You just go find, just get a wallet and whatever. But I don't know where do you go? Robinhood or something to
Yeah, Robinhood, Public. There's several apps that basically
is
do
it a
the exact
lengthy account process? I remember in the old days I had to like mail in an actual check to the company to get
same.
it.
No, you definitely don't have to do that.
Not anymore.
No.
That's still literally in my memory. Like that's a big hassle to deal with real stock investing.
No, it's probably easier than crypto, honestly.
Yeah, it probably is.
No.
Okay, so yeah, I heard a Roaring Kitty came back
That's right.
first time in years. That's a Twitter personality, X personality now, and he somehow caused a GameStop short squeeze or something a long time ago. Why is GameStop a meme stock? Why is that not just it's a store, it's a business, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
And
business
what makes
between
it a
every one
meme
of
then?
our
Right? I know
malls.
what a meme is, but like, are people trading it because it's funny?
No, I think so he's not a Twitter personality, he's a Reddit personality, right? There's the whole Reddit
Okay, yes,
thread,
right.
Reddit
Wall Street bets or whatever.
community.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like GameStop. I don't really know. What I know is through Netflix documentaries, but they were a
Dumb Money.
terrible. What?
What was the documentary? Dumb Money.
I don't know.
I've heard people say that's a good one, and I thought in the same conversation as that. No,
Um,
it's not different. Sorry.
let's see.
Continue.
You look it up. GameStop, Netflix. But basically, I think that it was just a failing business, and he realized that a lot of people were short selling it or shorting
Uh-huh.
it, and
Right.
he was looking at he was like truly. I think he truly thought that it was a really good business at its core and could be turned around. And so he
Mm-hmm.
just started, I think speaking to no one at first and then just grew over time, but about how GameStop was this good business and how we should all invest in GameStop and blah, blah, blah. And then it became this whole thing about, you know, getting the short sellers, bankrupting the short
Right.
sellers and
Right.
all that stuff. And then they blew up and it was huge. It was massive. He made like $50 million or something from it. And all these people, made millions of dollars from it out of nowhere. And then it crashed again. But I guess he's back. The rumor has
Right.
it he's back.
He's back, and GameStop pumped I think it went up, what, 2 times, 12 times? I don't know. I just heard some X's that it went up when he started putting out these little videos on Twitter. I watched a couple on Twitter.
Right now in the past 5 days.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, I still don't get it. I still don't get what meme stocks are. I obviously know what meme coins are, and I guess it's just the same thing. But it just seems so strange to me that it would happen in traditional.
The funny thing is, AMC theaters are the other one that everyone is betting on right now for the same reasons. Like theaters did terrible in 2020, and I don't know.
Right.
It's just funny. The whole thing is funny. I have zero money in GameStop or AMC, and that's I'm gonna keep it that way. Don't worry.
Good. All right.
Mr. Jeffrey wants to know if you're wearing a Buc-ee's shirt.
Yes, it is a Buc-ee's shirt. I bought it when I went to Disney in Florida. Stopped at Buc-ee's in Florida on the way to my mom's house, and had to have it. It just looked too good. The back says Florida on it. $15. Figured it'd be a great T-shirt. I wore it. I left it in Florida, and then she brought it home. When she came to visit, she brought it to me last week, and I wore it one day, and 3 people commented on it. 3 people just said, "Hey, it's Buc-ee's" or something, and I was like, "That's the most commented on shirt I've ever worn." Maybe the No Meat Athlete shirts overall more comments, but never 3 in one day at going out to a normal thing. So yeah, people. I just didn't know there was a Buc-ee's movement like that, Buc-ee's Army. But there definitely is.
I've never heard of Buc-ee's until maybe 4 months ago, and now I feel like I'm seeing it everywhere. People talking about it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely has this sort of cult thing to it, and when you go, it's a great stop. It's remember south of the border, that place.
Yeah.
It's sort of that vibe, at least like in terms of like you anticipate getting to this kind of relatively dumb roadside stop, and the gas, all this tons of food inside. I think they have the world's longest beef jerky, 70 foot or something, and like a million like products and toys and things. I tried to get. They had really good like nuts that we could get, like glazed nuts. They were like, I don't know, maple syrup glazed things, and they were pretty good. Although they tasted really unhealthy. But then I read they had good vegan burritos, so I went there and I saw a veggie burrito listed, or like I saw a veggie burrito there. They're all like ready made. You just take them, but they're hot. And I took it, and then I got in the car and started eating it, and realized I had all this like wet nacho cheese, sort of like, or maybe it was melted cheddar. So that was not a vegan burrito at all. So I don't know if you can get vegan food there. I read that you could, but I don't know how to get it. Maybe you need to talk to somebody and request it or something. So next time I will.
But there's a bunch of them, right? I mean, it's not just a single.
I think there are a handful of them. I know there's one in Tennessee and Nashville now. And I know there's one in on the way to Charleston. I don't know exactly what city. And there's one coming to Mebane, North Carolina, I heard. Which Mebane is where they did the Plant Pure movie, Plant Pure documentary.
Oh yeah.
They like had all these people in Mebane, relatively rural town, start eating plant-based for a few weeks, and they looked at their blood work and all that. But that documentary didn't really take off the way I think they hoped it would. So anyway, but you'll have one in North Carolina. That'll be good. You can get over to it. Danielle
P says there's a new one in Colorado.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're probably expanding.
What is it with the fascination with gas stations and roadside stops?
I don't know, because it's always like kind of an ironic thing. Like it's sort of like, it's like the south of the border, right? There's ads for hundreds of miles. And when you got there, it was like the biggest letdown ever if you've never been before, because there's all these ads promoting it. And then you realize it's ironic. They're kind of being funny about it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think people like doing things that are ironic. I think that's really.
But even like we've talked about this. How we probably sat across from each other at Sheetz when you went to James Madison. We both lived in Harrisonburg. I mean, there's just like even now, going to a Sheetz just makes me feel good. If I see one, I'm gonna stop at, or and I need gas, I'm gonna choose that over something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I mean, maybe because of what I don't know. I have no idea. Like you couldn't get food like Sheetz anywhere else, right? So that was actually a good thing about it. There was no go touchscreen menus and get all these different array of hot sandwiches and things. So that was a unique thing. I think Buc-ee's has unique thing. Maybe that market you can kind of do some interesting things, because no one's doing anything interesting at all when it comes to convenience stores.
Here you go. Your mom says the Florida location. This is This is unbelievable. The Florida location where you stopped has 114 gas bays. That's wild.
And they're all full, and the place is packed with people. It's a long time just to get into the place. It's backed up on the highway. It's crazy.
Wow. Britter says it's because Americans love fast food and convenient things. And then Mr. Jeffrey comes in with some Canada comparisons. Rest stops in Canada are usually parks with no more than outhouses, or maybe a
We definitely
concession.
have those things too, but this is just different. This is a commercialized version. And yeah, I think British is right. I think that might be an American phenomenon, would be my guess. All right. We should get to the actual show, I think, Doug. I don't have any more plant-based food things to mention. I definitely did some interesting stuff, but I can't remember what. I don't know. I don't know what I made. I've been cooking more, like I said. Yesterday I made a beans and pasta thing. Nothing too interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else? Or should we jump into the thing? I forgot to open the computer for the weather.
Get to that morning report. Not morning report. Weather report.
Yeah. Goes by several names around here. All right, here we go. Here's the music. PETA's at it again. They've named their first ever vegan homeware awards, which category we all never knew we needed. There's the vegan homeware awards, and they've given it to two celebrities. Kelly Clarkson Home is her line. In this case, for a rug, she won it. She won the best wool-free runner for a Eloise Damask rug made of polypropylene. And then the other one was Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow, Goop by CB2. I don't know what CB2 is, but that won Best Vegan Accent Chair for their collaboration with, who knows, Gwyneth Ivory Buckle Swivel Chair. So this is like furniture type stuff they're talking about. And basically, if you don't do wool and you don't do leather and you make something that normally would be those things, I think then you're eligible to win an award. And those two got it. Nothing more exciting about that, I don't think. Does that excite you one bit?
I'm looking at the Goop by CB2 furniture, and it actually looks pretty nice.
Yeah, you kind of like it.
Nice modern feel, but it looks pretty cozy. Okay. Maybe this is the direction I should go. I think CB2 appears to be a furniture company, furniture designer, and they must have partnered with Goop to put out.
Okay. If you just buy a regular rug for the ground, like we have like those jute ones, I think they're called, where it's like I don't know, fibers kind of stuff. I'm sure that's vegan. It's just from trees or whatever. But like if you just buy a regular rug, is that typically have wool in it? I mean, I don't think so, right?
I don't know.
I always knew it was like cotton or synthetic type stuff, but I just never know. So I mean, never thought about it.
I honestly, ours are a lot of them are the washable ones that's popular. I forget what those are called. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm buying. Maybe my house isn't as vegan as I thought.
Maybe. Well, it's impossible to be fully vegan, as they will tell us all the time. But we got more vegan swaps coming up in just a minute. More vegan, textiles and things. Speaking of one of them, centuries-old royal tradition has been given a vegan update, says Plant-Based News, who specializes in all things UK and vegan. The coronation roll has been printed on cotton paper instead of calf skin for the first time. Who's being coronated? Who's being crowned? Doug, is there a new royalty now?
I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Here's the story goes on. King Charles and Queen Camilla were presented with a 21-meter scroll before their first anniversary of their coronation on May 6th. They've only been king for a week? Oh yeah, I guess because the king died, or for a year, because the queen died a year.
That's right.
Right?
A year.
That's right. Yeah. Right. So they got this anniversary gift for being king and queen. They get this thing, and now because King Charles is a noted environmental activist type, and then Plant-Based News kind of mockingly quotes that these products were used for the first time because he's, quote, interested in animal welfare. That's why they decided not to use calf skin for this, even though the tradition goes back to 1308 when Edward II was crowned. So they sort of made fun. I mean, they mocked this a little bit. They quoted it. He's interested in animal welfare. And then they went on to say all the things that he does that are not animal friendly. They mentioned a few things that he has done that you could say are his advocacy for animal welfare. And then they mentioned a bunch of things he did that were not so good. So I wish they wouldn't have done that, because I just wish vegans could kind of be happy with like someone making an effort. And this is a good thing. This is a gesture, right? No one had to do this, but this is good. And now people are talking about this. So we don't need to bring up all the things he's done in the past that aren't that friendly to animals.
Have you ever seen cotton paper before?
No, I would imagine it dissolves right away.
Yeah, that would be my fears. These scrolls probably have to
Cotton
last
toilet
for
paper.
thousands of years, right? By their calf skin.
Right. I mean, they need to have. It says they're documented, so they have to keep these documentation around so that we know who was the king and queen.
They should just email it. You know,
put it on the blockchain, immutable.
Put it on the blockchain. It's fine. We don't need to worry about the cotton or the calf. Calf skin is pretty brutal, right? I mean, calf. It's
very brutal. Yeah, very brutal. 21 meters long too. So that was probably multiple calves would go into that. So
that's disgusting. That's gross.
Right. So commend this for happening. Commend the people who did this to me, rather than like bring up all the things he didn't do that were perfect as far as being vegan or animal welfare person. Let's just be happy with progress. I just don't get that about vegans. But anyway, okay, more PETA and more swaps of vegan things for non-vegan things. They've completed the first ever roundup of vegan car interiors, and they surveyed 110 automotive brands from BMW to Volvo in the US, China, Europe, India, Japan, and they got a bunch. They listed a whole bunch of them that are vegan. BMW has a car called Veganza. Did you know that, Doug? A vegan BMW?
No, I did not know that.
Well, they have it, and I don't know if the name of that is. I mean, they're made, and so is Mercedes-Benz's Artico, mentioned in the same breath by PETA. They had this sort of synthetic vegan leather inside, but I just didn't know that they would name the whole car a vegan.
Yeah, I mean, are they naming it Veganza because of vegan?
You have to wonder that. I don't know, but I think so, because like here's BMW Group's website. It says the BMW Group will launch its first cars with completely vegan interiors as early as next year. So I think, yeah, they made a vegan inside, and they named it the Veganza. But I don't know. I'm sure people rush to remind them that their car is not fully vegan, and no matter what they do, it can't be, because there's too many things.
Maybe if they're going to name the car Veganza, it better be vegan.
It can't be. There's all kinds of infographics that prove that you cannot be fully vegan. It's just an impossibility in the modern world.
British Veganza is the leather.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm seeing. I thought that too, but does not appear that that's what the issue is. Like, they're naming car models here, and what I just read from BMWsite.com says they're the Veganza, the car, the Veganza. So we'll have to do further research there. I didn't see the name when I pulled the story, so I would have looked more deeply into that. Now, there is more. No, she might be right. I don't know for sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm reading more. It looks like that is the case. Interior is made from a vegan leather called Veganza. All right. Well, I blame PETA.
I mean, that makes way more sense.
It does, for sure. All right. So anyway, it says that they feature synthetic vegan leather, but I guess they mean they are. Okay. Moving on. The Fisker Ocean comes with standard.
More interesting Britters. Just peeling back the layers of this onion of Britters. She's a German engineering nut. So apparently she knows her Volvos.
Okay.
Or BMWs.
Well, yeah, I stand corrected. Should not have challenged Britters on that. Would you buy a BMW, Doug, if it had Veganza inside of it? I feel like BMW is like the car. When I see someone driving BMW, I'm like, it's just the car. Everyone, you make a tiny little bit of money, you get your BMW, and you think you've like, oh, cool, made it now, like, cool guy. It's just it's I don't know.
I like BMW. I got nothing against BMWs.
I don't know. It's just not a good look to me.
Yeah. All right. That's just me. What are you driving these days? I don't even know.
2014 Mazda 3 that I bought used in 2018, had a big scratch on the side of the door, so I got a big discount on it. So I don't have the ultimate taste in cars, and it's a disaster inside. Messier than I've ever been in anything in my life. The inside, because the kids just do whatever they want, and I don't worry about it. I don't clean it up. I mean, if you saw my inside my car, you'd think I was just a terribly messy human being. What do you drive?
Okay.
Oh, I know what you drive. A whatever that thing is, Subaru.
Subaru. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which ours is 2014 too. It's
Oh yeah,
yeah.
good.
No, 2013. Yeah.
Well, I contribute to the consumerist economy, right, Doug? Just keep driving these cars so they don't run anymore.
That's right. I also
Hopefully
have a
get a dealer.
2011 Scion. Do you remember the Scions?
Yeah, remember the name?
Yeah. A friend or my cousin um, basically gave it to us for nothing when they bought a new car and the trade-in value was 0. So, yeah, I mean, I love that car, man. That thing, that box, it's like just a box on wheels. Fits so much stuff. It's great.
All right, good. All right, there are more cars listed in the thing. I don't really care about them at all. The Fisker Ocean, a few mini models, the new generation mini models, Polestar models, whatever that is, and several new Volvo models. Anyway, all of these have materials, Nordico, Microtech, WeaveTech. They all got named trademark materials that are vegan. So that seems to be a thing that's happening. People are moving away from leather in the cars, and that's a great thing. I think that's fantastic to go. I mean, who really needs leather in their car?
Nobody.
Right? What does it matter? Anyway, I'm not a car person, so maybe someone would say otherwise, but I just don't. Come on, it just drives you around. You can do it without animal skin in there. All right, more good news for men with prostate cancer. If they want to eat plant-based diets, they can now significantly reduce the chances of disease worsening by eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and olive oil, according to new research by UC San Francisco. They said that those who ate a primarily plant-based diet was associated with a 47% lower risk that their cancer would progress. That's 1 or 2 more servings per day of healthy foods, particularly vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, and fewer animal products like dairy and meat. We heard something about this a week or 2 ago about better outcomes for prostate cancer patients. So I believe this is different. And if so, just kind of piles on to the benefits of a plant-based diet. Beyond Meat had reported their Q1 earnings, 18% decline compared to the same period last year, which was already bad. We've had 2 straight years now of declining plant-based meat sales across the whole industries. But so that makes 8 straight quarters that Beyond has declined in revenue. Nonetheless, Ethan Brown remains optimistic. He says 2024 is a pivotal year. He mentioned that the company plans to roll out another heart-healthy product later this year. And that's in addition to the Beyond 4 burger, the new one that I had last week with the avocado oil. But the critics, they're not so sure about this. They're saying health claims alone, they don't seem to be a reason why people are going to want to do this stuff, because it's also coming at an increased cost. He said that too, that these things will be more expensive than previous Beyond products because they're healthier. And people are saying it's not the health. That's not what people are caring so much about. I don't really know. I mentioned last week that I had it, and like the lower saturated fat number for me does make it seem like a better choice. But I just think there's a lot of people who just don't touch this stuff because they say that's ultra processed. That's the government wants us to eat this stuff. So I don't think it's going to make a difference. What do you think, though? You betting on Beyond?
Quarters in a row and decline. Like at some point, you can't keep doing that. I mean, that's really bad.
Yeah, they're saying. I mean, they're going to need. The analysts are saying they're going to need further investment. It's going to come at high interest rates, and it just it doesn't seem like they're on the right trajectory at all. What else they can do? I mean, the industry's that's what's happening in the industry. No one, I don't think, is doing that well. I know Impossible claims that they're growing really fast, but it's not that it's Beyond Meat's fault necessarily, but with all the hype and things that happened, it put them into a very tough spot. Now that hype has died off.
I just assumed that they had this enormous growth in 2020 that was inflated, and then you'd kind of go back to a baseline and then begin building up from there. But I think you shouldn't still be declining, I would say. I mean, we should have hit that bottom by now, I would think.
Yeah, you would think so. It makes you wonder if it's going to turn around. I just don't know. I think it will shift to cultivated meat, as I've said many times. I think that's the better hope. But on that note, Alabama has become the second state after Florida to prohibit the sale and production of cultivated meat. Doug, you, with your geopolitical expertise, predicted this last week when we talked about Florida banning it. You said this is not good. Other states are going to follow Florida's lead. And Alabama has done so. Who could have predicted that it would be another, southern state that would do it? Anyway, they said, what'd they say? They said something about that was silly. Something about it coming from cells and chemicals, unknown health effects of these chemicals. And I guess maybe they're right. There has not been yet long-term research on cultivated meat because it just hasn't been around that long. Anyway, it's now an enforceable Class C misdemeanor. If you're guilty, maximum jail sentence of 3 months and a fine of $500. Doesn't sound so bad, but I don't know what that's like. Because you'd have like a massive like meat selling operation or cultivated meat selling operation, and then that's all you're getting. I don't know, but
maybe it's per sale.
Maybe, yeah, very possible. Upside, one of the cultivated meat companies who's gained approval in the United States, they've launched a petition on change.org. They're urging lawmakers to respect Alabamians' right to decide what's on their plate. And they said, let's be clear, these laws do not protect customers. It is for protect consumers. It is food policing to protect entrenched interests, defying free market principles and limiting consumer autonomy for a food that that USDA and FDA have deemed safe. And I am in agreement with that. I don't like to just automatically take the vegan side or the cultivated meat side, but let the people decide what they want and don't want. Let them. If the regulatory agencies have decided it's safe, we don't need to limit freedoms, in my opinion. But of course, I'm going to say that because I'm on the vegan side.
Yep.
All right, so there you go. There's your weather report for this Monday. Before we get to carnivore, we got a funny thing. Is there anything to jump to with the comments before we
can? Mr. Jeffrey says that Beyond should just stay in their lane and try to do what they do very well. Stop trying to innovate with new versions. And then Sydney T, new commenter, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't recognize is I agree with Mr. Jeffrey. They messed up a recipe. They messed up a recipe I really liked years ago.
Yeah, but they can't just stay in their lane. Their lane is collapsing. The lane's going off of a cliff, right? So they need to change to a new lane to avoid going off that cliff. And I'm not saying this is better because it might not be.
What if they just had burgers or maybe burgers and sausages, right? Like instead of 5 different versions of the burgers and like breakfast sausages and brats and all this stuff, like they just had 2 things that they did really well. And they just became, like Bubba's burger patties that are frozen. Yeah. They may have other products. I have no idea. But like Bubba's, you can get them everywhere. Like people just get that as a real meat burger, frozen burger patty. Like what if Beyond was the same way? You just had really good, cheap, plant-based burger.
Yeah. I mean, if they had reached a point where like growth had stagnated and it was just like the industry steady, I could see how they might shrink and do that and say, this is just more profitable. But I think right now, like we know, they're just grasping to do anything to try to survive. So I think they're just going to keep trying stuff and see. I don't know. I mean, it's just the industry's collapsing. When you got to do something. But I see the argument. I get it. Garuda Legends has made his own paper before. His own cotton paper says it sucks. Not good. But that's not just the omnivore or Garuda's not a carnivore. Omnivore take because Garuda. I'm sure the alternative for Garuda is not calf skin paper. It's just regular tree paper. And so he's saying cotton paper. I think he's just saying way worse than regular tree paper. And I would think so. Is there any reason to switch from tree to cotton paper, Doug? Is there a sustainability reason?
I would not think so. Bamboo paper. That's legit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Have you used bamboo paper before? Is that your official stationery of Black Mountain Town Council?
I do have some stationery. No, it's just that's just tree paper. No, we had some bamboo paper cards, like thank you cards that we.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I like bamboo product. It seems like you can make anything out of bamboo, and it's always pretty good. Aaron Jenkins says, I think Bubba has a veggie version. Are the Bubba veggie burgers worth trying? So there's an example, Doug, of them not staying in their lane. Like you said, they're trying to also make veggie burgers, if it's true. I don't know, and I don't know if they're worth trying. I have no idea.
I have seen those. I don't know if they're vegan. I assume they are, but.
Okay. All right, good. Well, let's get to the other story here. This is kind of funny. I think we talked about this before, and this is the follow-up now on the story of the Australian person who wrote a letter to their neighbor about the smell of meat that was coming out of their house. And what they did was they sent this, I think, a fairly nice letter, but the way it was worded, it just sounded, I think, kind of holier than thou sort of deal, and people made fun of it on social media. The original version, which I found on a different site than I think the one you have access to, Doug, says, "Hello, neighbor. Could you please shut your side window when cooking, please?" So they put please in there twice. My family are vegan, and then in parentheses, we only eat plant-based food. So just further clarification. And the smell of the meat you cook makes us feel sick and upset. We would appreciate your understanding. Thanks, Sarah, Wayne, and kids. So kind of a friendly thing, I guess. But apparently that went viral in some way that... well, no, I don't know. I think maybe the person who received that letter put it on social media, and I guess in some way it was interpreted as backfiring on them for doing that. I'm not sure. But there's a new one. They wrote a new letter, and this is in a bunch of news sites, many of them Australian, because I don't know. I guess it's funny and interesting, and it kind of is. The new letter says "last warning" on the envelope. It says an ominous thing to get, I guess. If I got a last warning letter, I'd be a little alarmed. It says, "Hello, Kylie. You've taken the Mickey out of me." Have you ever heard that phrase, Doug? Taken the Mickey out of me?
No, I was wondering if they were like Disney people or something. But
I wondered that too. I thought, is that just like, or maybe that's an expression in Australia that means like fun and friendly, and it's from Disney? I don't know. Anyway, you've taken the Mickey out of me and have been downright rude. I raised my concerns of the smell of meat making my family feel sick and upset, and you go and have a barbecue on Saturday night, inviting lots of PPL people. And you knew this would affect me and my family. My friend Tina told me you took my letter to social media and it backfired on you, which is, quote, just deserts, which of course they mean desserts, but they wrote deserts. Please, no more barbecues, and please keep that window closed when cooking. Otherwise, I'm going to report you and go to social media too. Sarah, Wayne, and kids. So there's the neighbor. Oh, and then on the back, if you folded the paper up before you unfolded it, it said, "Enough is enough. Please take seriously." So they went to a lot of lengths here to make sure every step of opening that letter, you got a new level of seriousness. I mean, I don't know. People are reacting as you would expect they would, and I think largely they are right. Doug, is the vegan person at all right here in any way?
Okay. First of all, I think this is probably fake, right? It's just too made for social media.
Yeah, I wanted the same thing. For sure.
But let's
after it
assume that
happened one time.
Yeah. Let's assume that it's real. Here's what I like. I like that the vegan wrote them a letter, and a fairly polite letter. I think that communication with your neighbors is really important. If something's bothering you, if it's if you're having something, like, it's good to talk about. I would prefer them to go over there and like have the conversation instead of a threatening letter. But
Right.
let it be heard, let it be known. Don't just call the police or report them on Facebook and try to get the community against them. I think that communication is good. So kudos to the vegan family for doing that. Obviously, people can have barbecues in their yard. It's a ridiculous request not to allow somebody to have a barbecue in their yard. I mean, even if they were having a party, or I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that, like, your neighbor can be disruptive and it can be annoying, but it's still legal, and it's their property, and they have the right to do that within certain parameters of noise violations and smoke and that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So, like,
right.
I mean, like, come on. Like, what do you expect? Go over there, see if you can get invited to the party, bring your veggie burgers, show them that they can be pretty tasty.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Mr. Jeffrey says, why can't the vegans close their window? And that's a really good question. Of course, they should do that. Oh, shoot, I had something I was going to say about it. Oh, yeah, like, they're going to report them, they said. What are they going to report them about? There's nothing they did anything wrong that I know. Anyway, yeah, I also think it's fake. Although it seems like if it was fake, it seems like it would just be a little more over the top. Like, this is just so, like, bland. I mean, it's kind of a little bit, strange, and you can kind of imagine a neighbor who's just like not with it doing this, but like it's just not that funny. So I don't really know. I also thought, darn, I keep losing my train of thought here because I'm jumping around looking at comments and things.
Okay, what if I got a question. What if your neighbor the only thing that feels really stinky would be animal related, but like scratch the whole vegan thing. What if your neighbors had a pig pen or something like that that just smelled terrible all the time,
Right.
Like how would your
or like just any other, it was a terrible septic system, right? There's something just awful. It just smells terrible. Not necessarily a vegan issue at all. Like, what do you have any right to not smell a terrible smell in your house all the time?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure if they're doing something that's like I would imagine that there are some sort of vague rules in most like homeowner associations or something that have that. But if it's not, if it's just outside out of a neighborhood or something, I'm sure there's not much to be done.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, and there some places there's probably rules around like doing something that hurts the property value, your neighbor's property value.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the vague thing. It could be something, and then if what they're doing is out of the ordinary, then there probably can be some sort of things done about it, I would guess. Or they make new law, right? They'll have a hearing about it and they'll make a law about it.
I mean, there's certainly, like I know here in Black Mountain, and I think most places there's like grass length laws and trash laws. You can't have like basically a dumpster in your yard, or not a dumpster, like what do you call it? A junkyard in your yard,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but barbecue just doesn't qualify. It just doesn't qualify for me.
Because barbecue smells good, and people have said that. Britters and Jessica Goodenough have both said, essentially, am I a bad vegan if I still love the smell of a barbecue? And I kind of feel the same way. Like, I guess some amount of meat making or fish making would kind of be off-putting, but in general, a barbecue doesn't smell like meat. It just smells like smoky, stuff, and it's good. So, in general, I can't see them winning any fights for that. And you know what else? I do think, on the other hand, the neighbor could have come over if this was a real thing. Instead of just having a huge party with the neighbor could have responded to the letter responded in some way and said, "Sorry, we're not going to do this. We're going to keep doing our thing, but you're heard and all this," or have a discussion, right? So do you think they owe them to that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they both could be better neighbors here. Just communicate more.
Yeah, I mean, they could be like, "Hey, we're having a big barbecue. You don't have to come, but just heads up, it's gonna smell. If you wanna go away for the weekend, you do that."
Yeah, right. All right. Vegan Stallion says happens to poor people all the time. Feedlots and slaughterhouses are often located near people's houses. I've seen news about this in North Carolina. In fact, there are pig farms that make it so terrible to live nearby, and generally those are not expensive places to live, of course. So yeah, that's true. And I think there was legislation happened. There was controversy over it for sure. So I'm sure some agreement would be reached, or compensation or something. Garuda says no one gets mad when vegans are cooking their fake meat, which also smells like pet food. So that smell could be just as offensive to a meat eater as the meat smell could be to a non-meat eater. All right, and then Garuda also says, "Let's be real. It was smelling good, and she was getting meat cravings and salivating." It's possible you get that and then feel like you were cheating, like it was wrong. I don't know. Anyway, goofy, stupid story. I don't know why we did it, but we always do those, and sometimes they're fun. All right, last bit, and we'll be quick here. We're running out of time, but this is a quick thing. It's from Plant-Based News. The headline is Carnivore MD says carnivore diet negatively impacted health, and the subheadline is Eating mostly meat gave Paul Saladino heart palpitations and a dip in testosterone. We have talked about Saladino before because he puts out these videos that sometimes make kind of outrageous claims about, I forget what it was. I think it was about beans, maybe the anti-nutrients in beans.
Kale.
Could have been about oatmeal.
His slogan is "Kale is BS."
What that's the slogan?
Yeah, he makes shirts, or at least he used to when he was carnivore. I don't know if he still is.
Right. Okay. So yeah, and the nitrates and the anti-nutrients, it's the same things we hear all the time. By the way, we did the carnivore myths thing, the 5 carnivore myths thing last week, and that was our by far most commented on video. Most of our videos get like between 1 and 3 comments. This one got 55. Not the comments in the slide that happened during the real show, but the comments that happened afterwards, that we always ask people to go leave comments, because it's only really carnivores who go to those and say, "Oh, you vegans," and then they'll make fun of something. about it. In fact, Doug, they asked if hair gel was vegan this time. I think they were saying that you had used a large amount of hair gel in that video, and
Me?
I think so. Your hair looked very slick in that one, so I think
Might have just been greasy.
yeah, right, it could have been. And and they said, well, you guys have iron deficiencies, and I can see it in your eyes, and
Definitely.
all this other stuff, and then like arguments, and some people kind of defended us or defended the plant-based diet, and it would turn into a fight in the comments. So that's where the 55 comments came from. But anyway, the carnivore content does get attention on social media, so I don't know if we'll kind of keep doing it. I don't want us to become like one of these things, like we were saying last week. When this guy Mike the Vegan, I was saying I don't know how he does it, right? Like that, like puts up this video about 5 minutes, and he's just going to get bombarded and get into arguments and all. And like I have no interest in being in those kinds of arguments at all. So that's why we don't put out videos like that. We just talk about his and interpret it. But anyway, it's just interesting. The carnivore content gets people fired up. That's what it does. But anyway, in this case,
all right. So you know what I think? I think the carnivores are now. I mean, it's just like paleo versus vegan back in the day. I think carnivores are doing the whole vegan thing that the vegans have gotten really good at, which is attacking anyone who has an opposing position.
Right. Yeah. Which is too bad. It's too bad the vegans did it too. I don't like any of that. It's just not that much fun to read that kind of stuff. And I try to be as reasonable as I could. I think I'm sure most of the comments didn't actually watch the video because I think we were pretty fair. And I think a lot of vegans may not even like our take. I said it's hard to trust, a guy who's vegan telling you what's wrong with carnivore diet. Like I'd rather have someone who's in the middle. I think I was very fair about that. But anyway, whatever. That's just going to happen. But anyway, Paul Saladino, he went on the More Plates, More Dates podcast. That's from, I don't know who that's from, but TikTok fitness influencer Ben Carpenter. He shared the interview with his 740,000 followers. I don't know if he's the one who did the interview or not. But anyway, Saladino has written a carnivore book before. He's written the Carnivore Code and the accompanying cookbook, an accompanying cookbook that just goes with it. It was all about carnivore stuff, and it was just meat. But he talked about why he quit the diet on this podcast. He said it was almost exclusively meat for 2 years, but his testosterone dropped, caused sleep disturbances, heart palpitations, and muscle cramps. And his quote was, "I started to think maybe long-term ketosis is not good for me." And of course, that's the phenomenon that causes the people to lose a lot of weight very quickly. So I'm not saying these things, can't work as a very short-term health intervention. In fact, it appears that it does work really well for that. I just don't see how it can be healthy long-term, but that's a whole different story. Yeah. So I don't know that's pretty much it. There's not more detail. I didn't listen to this whole podcast or anything, but Saladino, he did say he eats fruit and honey now as well. In addition to raw milk and raw cheese, which I think we're already kind of on the carnivore diet, but different versions of it wouldn't have that. I don't know. This is good to see. For as annoying as those guys are, I like to hear that they have to eat more vegetables because it just seems obvious, and that's what everyone's saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, here's the problem, and this goes for vegans. This goes for any influencer who is promoting a fairly strict diet. It happens all the time. And this is the quote from the article. He said he said that he conducted some research and concluded that ketosis is probably not a great thing for most humans. And I mean, that's the problem, is right. Like he built this whole brand around carnivore MD and anti-vegetables and anti-oats and anti-everything. And then he decided to do a little research, and he decided that maybe that wasn't a good thing. And I'm not saying that all vegans like this. I'm not saying all paleos or even all carnivores. Like they probably, some of them have done the research. Certainly, we like to think that we've done quite a bit of research and to land on our beliefs. And this is, and this is where we think we've come down, right? And we also are first to admit that a fully 100% plant-based vegan diet might not be the healthiest, or may not be the only way to eat a healthy diet, right?
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny that people kind of dig into their personality, create a whole brand for themselves, and then they decide to, maybe I should look into this a little deeper, and it might not be for everybody.
Yeah, and who knows really the sequence and if that really happened or not. There still isn't a lot of research on carnivore, so you can do research, but it's just still theorizing. It's not really based on what has happened over the long term with people who follow this diet, because people haven't for a long term, at least not in modern history. So yeah, I mean, this is what happens. I think that, well, I think since the beginning, maybe not the very beginning, but pretty soon, I realized that like we don't know anything about nutrition science. It's just such a confusing thing, and there's so much going on and difficulty of doing long-term, really good studies, like long-term clinical trials. You can't do them with nutrition. It just doesn't work because people make different choices in their life, and they're not going to stay in a lab for 20 years. So I kind of realized early on that like, as much as you think you understand exactly what we need to eat to be healthy, or that it has worked really well for you, we don't know. We have no idea. Like specifically what it takes, and probably it's because there's not one specific diet that is the best. There's a whole big range of stuff that works, because I think humans have evolved that way, that you can eat a lot of different ways and end up pretty healthy. So anyway, I guess when you see someone go so extreme into this is the only way to eat, then it's whether they're vegan or not, it's nice to see when they kind of have to take a step back from that, because they realize that was a little bit extreme. So Ben Carpenter, this TikTok guy who was mentioned in the article, he says, honestly, I'm torn. I love seeing people change their mind publicly. Admitting mistakes shows maturity and growth. But he did say Saladino could have done his research, quote, before he wrote a carnivore book, but hey ho. So I guess, yeah, commend the guy for doing this. He is admitting a mistake. He's changed his mind. And I think changing your mind is better than digging in more and just trying to keep, either pretending or denying or whatever. So good for him for doing that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't mind that he wrote the carnivore code and now learned more and changed his stance. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Doug, you a Paul Saladino fan now?
No, not at all.
You gonna go to his chiropractic practice?
No. No, I mean, I still think a lot of what he talks about is harmful and misinformed.
Yep. All right. So Garuda says, I love this comment from Garuda. I eat the healthiest diet on earth, a Mediterranean, which is only an omnivore diet, or hypercarnivore diet, depending on my budget. And I don't know what hypercarnivore is, but then he says Paul Saladino is a cringe lord. So I kind of just skimmed that comment and didn't fully read every word of it. But I think in general, Garuda thinks that vegans and carnivores are both too extreme, and he says be in the middle. And I actually do respect that a lot, because I think being in the middle is, when it comes to nutrition, like the kind of the safest bet. Like we don't know what to go far on any extreme is you're getting into territory that there's just not that much known about it. So even when it comes to vegan, I think some people go too far with like being raw fruit. It's just too easy to get excited about it and then go make it narrow and narrow and say, now I only am this kind of vegan. So I don't know. I don't think you're, as I've said many times, if you eat 5 or 10% of your calories from meat, I don't think you are less healthy than someone who's vegan. Are you more healthy? I don't really know. That is unknown to me. But there you go. Vegan Science, this is why I follow Dr. Greger. He follows the science and has a team of fact checkers now. And I think in general that is true. And Sydney T loves us for this reason. Where I love you guys. It's so important to look at both sides and understanding how the extremes in most directions isn't healthy. And yeah, in general, I think that is true. All right, there you go. This comes after Sean Baker, right? He's the kind of I don't know what he's called, Carnivore King. He said earlier this year that he basically admitted that there is no research saying carnivore diet is good or necessarily bad. We just don't know. So that was another thing that came out, and Plant-Based News amplified it. All right, Doug, anything else?
No, that's it for me.
You're done?
Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for all the comments as always.
Yeah, leave some comments on the real post too, if you want. This one or any other video, but those things are always good.
55 pro Matt and Doug comments talking about how wonderful my hair looks.
If you're a carnivore who's listening to this, please keep the other comments coming too, because getting 55 comments is fantastic for us, regardless of whether they totally hate the content or like it. It was 10 times more than any other, so that's fantastic for our show. So either way, put comments on there; they're good. All right, that's it. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for all the conversation. That always makes it better. To Borland says, make sure you like and subscribe. And yes, please do that. We don't remind you too often, but please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on the alarm alert button, all those things. And we will see you tomorrow.
Hey, and if you haven't signed up already, join the VIP list for Plantapalooza. Starts 1 week from today.
There we go.
So there you go.
Only a week left to consume those valuable freebies that you get ahead of time.
Lovecompliment.com. Free to join. All right.